Some of you only care about what's going on in Palestine because it's happening to majority Arab and Muslim people, and you will turn a blind eye to any other person's oppression simply because they do not have that identity. And it's really gross. Cry about what's going on in Palestine and ask the Western world to care when you yourself do not care about other people's liberation simply because they're not Arab.
I am so glad to see other Muslims talking about this because it is gross, it is weird, and it is completely un-Islamic for so many Muslims to only care about oppression and colonization and Western imperialism when it has anything to do with the Muslims in the Arab region. You clearly don't care about any of the oppression towards non-Muslim groups, but also not even other Muslims who are not Arab. What about all of the Muslims in different African countries and what they are experiencing? Even now when I bring up Black Lives Matter and similar causes in American Muslim spaces, I have non-Black Muslims, Middle Eastern Muslims in particular, who talk about, oh, that's not a thing in our community. What are you even talking about? If you would spend any tiny amount of time actually listening to the experiences of Black American Muslims, you would know that anti-Blackness is a huge problem in our community. But again, unless it has something to do with Arab Muslims, Arab states, or pale-skinned Muslims like myself, the vast majority of you could not care less about anything that they are going through. And this is just one of many reasons why someone like myself who attempts to be in activist spaces has such a hard time encouraging non-Muslim activists to follow Muslims in any given space, because so many of you are only caring about our community or the very specific privileged parts of our community and literally no one else. Fighting for liberation and freedom and against oppression has to be when it faces any community and not just people like ourselves. And also we have to be ready to call out when it is our own people committing that oppression. The Prophet, peace be upon him, came to us and gave us Islam in part to break down this tribalism and only siding with people from your group, and instead of standing with the truth and with justice. And yet so many Muslims are still acting in exactly the same way as the people that the Prophet brought Islam to. You just happen to have memorized a couple of Arabic words and you bow down in a certain direction 5 times a day and starve yourself every once in a while. But our religion is for those who think, for those who ponder, for those who reflect and act on those lessons. There are a lot of you who have just memorized the words behind the Quran, memorized the word behind the Prophet, peace be upon him's hadith, and are not actually acting on the lessons because you've thought about how they apply in day-to-day life.